Spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening.
Hey, Paranormal Ghosties. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're doing this episode to talk about our experience with Ghost Adventures and how we got to this point.
Yeah, a lot of experiences that we've had, and some of those experiences kind of sparked us making some phone calls to Ghost Adventures. So, yeah, it's an interesting experience.
So like in our prior videos that we've already posted, we talked about the beginning of how we got into ghost hunting and how some of this started, but we really never talked about the show. And we're really only going to do this like one time because we don't want the focus to be on that. That's not why we got into this. It's not why we stayed in it. We were really just kind of looking for confirmation to whether we were actually capturing stuff on our cameras in the house, or if it was our imagination. And it was kind of I wrote the letter in and I said, hey, we want you to just come look at what's going on. And I never really thought that they would call us, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have watched our kind of awakening videos in our first video. If you haven't, check it out. You'll help understand some of this. But this is some of the stuff that we were experiencing was really kind of confusing. We were just starting to get into paranormal experiences and investigating and like super amateur stuff, and it was one of those, is this really happening? Am I seeing it? Is it something else? Can I, following the processes of ruling things out? But it's kind of turned into kind of a deeply personal thing, and our experience with Ghost Adventures was unique. It was a good experience, but obviously we're not trying to use it as a way to get reputation or anything. It was just something that was part of our journey. So we just thought we would talk about it today.
So I think where part of this started for like maybe a lot of people, like when COVID hit, I think everybody was binge watching shows, but I think we were watching Ghost Adventures at the request of my oldest daughter, who's deceased now, but she introduced us to Ghost Adventures, I think right before COVID broke.
But it's a little bit before that, but yeah.
Yeah, so we weren't really into ghost hunting. We didn't have cameras and didn't even think really twice about doing something like that until later. COVID passed, things kind of settled down a little bit, and we just kind of were like, it's kind of interesting, and there's some history out there that's never been written about, and maybe we'll do that and put a little paranormal spin on it. Well, then it kind of escalated from there. We bought a camera. We started kind of messing around with it in our house.
And we're looking at the screen and going, holy cow, we're actually seeing things. What are we seeing? Are they bugs? Are they dust? Are they whatever anomalies? So yeah, it sparked a lot of interest.
Yeah. So then in all of that, my dad passed away, and we kind of acquired, I feel like I'm an ash collector now. Because now I have another set of ashes, which is my mother. She passed away this past February on Valentine's Day. So we have yet another set of ashes. I'm not doing it on purpose. But so my dad passed away and we got his ashes. And that's kind of when things started to happen. So toys were going off, as we said before.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the previous videos, but some specific toys were going off, and we've got some footage to show you about that and kind of tie it into Ghost Adventures too when they were here.
But yeah, I didn't really experience the toys as much as he did. I don't know why that seems to be the case, but yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of strange. I really haven't put a lot of thought into
Because it's
why
my dad.
that is.
Why would he be doing it?
Yeah,
Right now? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe because it's trucks and police cars. I don't know.
probably like you better. Anyway, so this is kind of where it all started. This is a little video. There's not much to it because this is where we started. This is where we're like, oh my God, is there something here? We weren't really sure. So we're going to play this on this part of the screen right here. I don't know if you can see it to the bottom left. I'm showing you with my arrow. You probably can't even see. But the bottom left-hand corner, which might be your right-hand corner, but you'll see a little light anomaly come out. You can call it an orb. Call it whatever you want, because I know people like to fight about orbs and have, conversations that really don't matter.
Maybe we'll get into a whole nother video one day about.
Yeah, well, I've already made a video on orbs. You can go see that on our YouTube channel. So, I believe they exist, and I think they exist in our house. They existed then, and they still exist now. So, I'll start this video right here. Comes out from the left, and it does a U-turn and comes back from the recliner.
And then it passes between that ball and that truck.
So these are the toys that were going off. So this is the police car. This was. Oh, I keep wanting to point, but I know
the little one that you see there is a little toy police car that you have to push a button to make it go off. It's not sound activated. It's not motion activated. Then that big car is like a toy Hummer that plays the MC Hammer theme song when you press the button.
Yeah, and then in front of that is the alphabet ball, is what I call it. It's just a ball that when you hit it, it just does the ABCs. There's no children's laughing in it. There's no. It just does ABCs. It's like A, B, C. So those were the toys that started going off. So the police car was the first one to go off, and then I think you said the Hummer did.
Yeah.
And this was over a span of I don't know how many weeks before we.
I would say when the police car went off the first time to kind of when all of that happened, amongst all the other stuff that was happening, like in the kitchen and everything else, I'd say it's probably maybe 4 weeks time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as that was going off, obviously we're having stuff fall off the shelves, things falling off the shelves in the pantry, just things like that, things that were pretty obvious and not normal.
Yeah, things moving on the kitchen counter.
And I think there was probably a little more stuff going on, like me constantly losing my stuff. My stuff in this house is always being misplaced. I don't know why. It's maddening though. It's like I know I just put it right there and now it's gone.
And it's stuff that like she has an iPhone, so she has an iPhone charger, and I don't have an iPhone, so there'd be no reason for me to move her charger or mess with it, and it would just be in a different place. So strange.
Yeah. So this is kind of the stuff that kind of prompted me to write Ghost Adventures, and I did it while I was at work, and I thought it was kind of funny. First, it was just kind of as a joke, and I'm like, well, I'm going to write these guys. So I make my little video in my workroom, and I send it off, and lo and behold, we get the email. And I'm like, oh my God. So then they wanted some evidence, and we sent them some of the videos like you just saw, just so things that I thought were probably nothing. And the guy on the phone, the researcher, he was a really cool guy, and he reassured us that, I've been doing this a long time, and this is what you're seeing is real, and the things you're describing as far as things affecting me, just not feeling right. I talk about all the vertigo and the dizziness and all that stuff. So we send the evidence in, and they're like, okay, we're going to take your story. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was one of those not expected things.
Yeah, and I was still just kind of in denial about the fact that things were happening, even though it was blatantly obvious that there was something not right going on in the house. So, time passed. They're getting the story together, and they're still asking us questions, and we're still kind of sharing our story with them. And then when I had my first real moment of where I was being affected by whatever it was, we had that on film, and I don't really like to share it because it's kind of weird and odd for me. So I'm probably not going to show that video.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal, but you know, I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around some of this stuff. But so anyway, we send that video in and he goes, okay, we're going to push your story up. So they did. And even like 5 days before they got here to film, I was still like, they're not going to come and we're going to look like idiots. Nothing is going to be really what we thought it was, you know? So yeah. So they get here.
Yeah. I mean, and there's, like I mentioned before, all of this stuff, this is personal things happening to us in our house. So it means a lot. It's a personal thing. And it's, you know, I know that there's an element to the show that's, you know, production and, you know, made for TV. Whatever your personal beliefs are about ghost adventures or TV or ghost hunting shows that are on TV, that's fine. The personal experience we had was a good experience. And yes, when we saw the episode, there are things that's like, wow, I get it. It's for TV. But our intentions of why we called them was to really kind of validate what was going on. And that happened for us. So
yeah, and why it became super personal. This is very personal for me because not only did my father die, and we started experiencing all that, is what really ramped all this up, and where I really started getting affected by whatever you want to call it. My daughter was hit and killed 7 months after my dad passed away. So then we kind of had her ashes here, a little bit of her ashes, and that's kind of when things kind of ramped up. And then I had a little bit of their dad's ashes, and that's kind of a long story how I ended up with that. But anyway, we've talked about that before. So yeah, this was super personal for me because 4 days. So when we talked to let's go back to the investigator guy when or the researcher. He said, don't investigate your house anymore. And we're like, okay, we won't investigate because you really don't want to open that stuff up in your house, you know, because then you got to deal with it. And we're like, okay, wink. We're not going to investigate anymore. But, you know, we got a new camera and we were messing around with it in the living room. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of boring because we're not really getting anything. And that's when we got, you know, my daughter's ashes out and her little locket of hair and the little teddy bear. And we're just like talking and, you know, I'm like, Leanne, you know, poke my shoulder like you do. And then that's when we got the video that we've shared, but we're going to share it again tonight. So let's see here. So here, that's her ashes, the little urn, and that's the little teddy bear, and that's the locket of her hair. Mind you, I've never really gotten the locket of hair out.
I think we've had all of the whole combination together.
And why we have all that stuff, I can't tell you. I think when you lose a child, you I don't know, you do strange things. I think you just keep weird things, and I don't know. I can't even explain it. You know, I'm sure we're not the only people that go through that. So, but anyways, we're sitting here and we're just kind of conversing, and you know, is this you, Leanne? You know, poke my shoulder like you do. But in all of these orbs and little light anomalies we were catching, I kind of noticed that when there was one orb, there was another that followed. Now, my daughter had lost a baby 3 weeks to the due date, her name was Hannah. And I kind of came to the conclusion that this is Hannah that follows Leanne around. So it's really hard to see in this video. And I think it really depends on the quality of your monitor when you're looking at this, but we'll play it.
Now, we don't have Hannah's ashes, obviously.
No.
But we do have some of her, effects from the hospital.
So, and when you're watching ghost shows and they talk about cold spots, I had never experienced that before until we brought my daughter's ashes home. And I'm not going to show you all this video, but in this video, to the left of me, we started getting these cold spots. I was like, wow, those things really do exist because, you know, this is all new to us. And, you know, we were probably those people on there watching these shows in the beginning going, that's a bunch of poopy doo. That doesn't really happen.
As much of a fan as I am of Ghost Adventures, I'm also kind of like the built-in skeptic. So everything I watch, I kind of look at it from that point of view. So, it's it's kind of interesting to actually experience this kind of stuff.
So let's see here. I don't want to get too far ahead. I'm going to kind of bump this video up a little bit.
Because I felt the cold go over the top of my head and down the front of my face.
So we're talking about that cold air. So obviously I can't see anything because we're sitting in pitch black.
Yeah, if that's you, set that off again. Go by the lights. Let me know that you're here.
We're going to bump that up a little bit. So we're just, we're feeling the cold spots. We're getting like the weird feelings and
It's not on, I don't think.
trying to figure out why we might
So to the
getting
left of
cold.
me,
Yeah,
it's
trying to debunk what's cold.
right here. Right here it's
We
warm.
don't judge my pajamas. This was in the middle of the night.
Go over there and touch the red light, Ian, if that's you. Or touch me.
I decided to get up and move to get a different camera angle. Just
Poke
Try
my
something
shoulder like
different.
you do.
Okay.
So, you want me to play this? But
that's fine.
so, anyways, Ryan usually doesn't get too affected, but this did. It was almost like it touched him.
It felt. It's really hard to explain. It almost feels like when you get the wind knocked out of you and you can't talk, but you're trying to. But I wasn't scared. I didn't feel like. I mean, I could still breathe. I was taking deep breaths. So, the job I do, I'm kind of accustomed to kind of calming down and being able to breathe through things, and I could breathe. I wasn't scared about that, but I couldn't get my words out, so it sounds really funny. I already have a weird sounding voice anyways, but then it sounds even more funny.
So I'll play that. So we'll just go ahead and play that
Back
part.
up just a little bit because then you can kind of tie it all together. Yeah.
So yeah. So he gets up. I'm sitting. I can't see anything that he's.
It felt like it touched my side. Because I'm not reacting to it until it goes past me.
I can't even talk right now.
Why?
I just saw a long string floating orb, and I'm getting like this weird chill thing in my throat. It's hard to talk, and my eyes instantly started watering.
That's the cat's right here.
No, I saw it come up
I know it's not an orb.
right over the top of Leanne.
Good, you need to calm down. Take a deep breath.
So of course I make the wife comment. You need to calm down. I have no idea what he just saw. So this was pretty amazing because we were catching what we call them light anomalies now, just because orb seems to be such a sensitive subject for people. But we'd never caught anything like this before, and I don't think we've caught anything like this since. But we've not invested.
Well,
we've not.
I've seen one in the garage, but I didn't have the record button on the
That's right.
camera. So I learned the lesson the hard way on that one.
Yeah. So in this, gosh, I really wish you could see this because the second part of this is really interesting. So when this manifestation pops up here, if you look to the right of my nice midnight bun, there's a love seat right there, right by the fish tank. And you'll see a little round orb pop up, kind of does a little bounce, like almost childlike. I always describe it as being very childlike. And it follows the manifestation out. And I always kind of equated that to Hannah following Leanne down the hallway, because most of the energy in this house, like in Ghost Adventures, when they talk about it, it's the hallway is like the main pathway for whatever's going on. And it's always like that. That's where we see shadows.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we hear noises. It's where we hear voices. And it seems to be where all these orbs want to travel all the time. So, when you get kind of wigged out at nighttime, it's in the hallway. That's the part you turn the light on and run down the hallway, do whatever you do in the middle of the night, and then you go back to bed. But it's just a weird energy. Not bad. I'm not afraid of it. Isn't like it scares me in that sense, but it scares you because it's just something that you don't experience every day. It's just kind of odd.
And even though I don't want to say we're used to it, but it happens not often, but often enough. But it's still I guess the creepy factor, because you really don't know what it is.
Yeah, so let's see if we can pull this back a little bit.
I can't even talk right now.
Okay. So you just focus on that corner by the end of the right side of that couch.
Yeah,
But just
turn it.
So to the left of me, it's cold.
go down more.
Or touch me.
You see a little orb pop up right there here in a second.
Poke my shoulder like you do.
Follows like the same path as that manifestation, so it kind of comes out,
Okay.
There it goes.
There
It
it
popped
goes.
out and it falls up or
goes
down.
across in front of
I
her.
can't even talk right now.
So it's a pretty interesting catch.
And that, what was that, like a week before?
That was 4 days before Ghost Adventures.
4
started.
days before they came. So they came in June of 23. And that was 4 days before they showed up. June 10th, I think, or 9th, or
Yeah,
something like
and we
that.
didn't tell them, like, we had sent all the other stuff, but I'm like, well, we're gonna wait until they get here and we'll show them this. So when they came to they come and they do the walkthrough just to, to see what's going on, talk to us, get our story. And I was like, hey, I got one more thing to show you. And at that point, I'm sure they felt like they seen enough evidence and it was enough to do their story. And they're like, all right, well, let's watch it. So when we showed them that, they were, yeah, you got to send this to Zach like right now.
Yeah.
And because I'm new at editing and doing things like that, the file was huge. And I didn't think it was going to go through. It took, oh my gosh, 3 hours for it to go through, I think. So they ended up getting back to our house late to actually do the investigation. And then they kept us all night pretty much because just of all the stuff that was going on. So
Yeah, there was, They were there doing investigation stuff, but like they come in the day before and talk to you, and then the day of the investigation, the night of the investigation, and the next night they did a bunch of stuff that was, whatever they were doing, filming the outside of the house, the inside of the house, all the pictures on the wall. So,
yeah. It was pretty cool. So this is Leanne. This is my daughter. She was 28 when she lost her life and she left behind 3 children. So I'm pretty sure she's still here and she's just taking care of her kids. She's wanting to make sure we're all safe. That's just kind of how we're taking it now. So in this Ghost Adventures episode, a lot happened. I truly don't believe that we had any demonic forces in this house. I'm kind of more aligned with, we live in California. California comes from a lot of Native American land. I mean, there's a lot of history here with its Native American, and I think that we've developed on a lot of spiritual land, a lot of land we probably shouldn't have developed on, and I think that's where a lot of these experiences are kind of coming from. I never felt like we were in danger.
No.
Or that we were being possessed or anything of that nature. It was a rough time there for a little while, but I think a lot of it's because you're not understanding really what's happening or the magnitude of what's happening.
Yeah, and I know some people will want to throw out the comment like, well, you wouldn't know if you're being possessed, or you wouldn't think it. They would, it's controlling you and controlling your mind, and all of the thought processes and faculties are there. I mean, hence we're doing this, this whole journey, and we've talked about it before, but Paranormal Triage kind of started off as a play into our jobs in the first responder world. And then, studying the history of somewhere and trying to do the unwritten history. And then it's kind of turned into more of like triage, or the sort of the facts that we're getting, and then how does that relate to the spiritual journey that we are on, because there's a lot of spiritual questions into there as well, which we're going to get into. That's kind of what we're going to be doing in the future. So this was kind of the start, I guess, to open up that can.
So paranormal triage. Triage means to sort. We're sorting through evidence. We're sorting through facts. We're sorting through people's experiences, their stories, just to get to the bottom of maybe what's happening in their household. So far we're kind of seem like our niches, doing private investigations.
Yeah,
you know?
and because that's more of that personal journey. That's what we relate to. It's not, going to the, asylums that everybody's going to,
Yeah.
because that's not really what we're looking for. We're not looking for, demonic things. We're not looking for those kinds of stuff. We're looking for the other spiritual answers.
So, and just to set the record straight, I did not attack Jay. It might have looked like it, but I didn't attack Jay. There was more to it than that. Like I say in the video, that's really not my nature. And people are telling me that I'm an empath, and I haven't really owned that yet, and I will eventually. But I do get these weird connections to people that don't make sense. Jay being one of them. Now, it's not like that Jay wasn't, that I didn't like him on the show. He just was not my favorite. You always have your favorites. And not that he's not worthy of being a favorite, but he just wasn't in my radar. There was other things that I always paid attention to. So why I had this weird connection to him, I don't know. It's still there. I can't explain it. I have to ignore it quite a bit.
When she's saying that, it's more of like she's constantly talking about being concerned about how he is.
Yeah.
That kind of a connection, not, worried about how he's doing.
Yeah. So I did not attack Jay. I don't know, whatever. So
I think it's just the way he stepped in. It looked weird.
I will get you.
Walking around someone and stepping in.
But,
yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was really that big of a deal or that strange. Again, that's kind of where the, made for TV show thing came from,
So as far as the guys being here, they were very respectful. I didn't get my kids involved a whole lot. Just, John, he's finally said, his lights were going off in his room, and he's not, like I said, he's not really one to tell a bunch of stories, especially then. That was like a year and a half ago now. But, after that, he was kind of playing some pranks on us.
Yeah,
So
we're scary. So he's not going to do that again.
If you haven't watched the episode, because this was not made up.
I think that's one of the ones there.
This was stuff that we had already captured in our cameras. What's happened since then? Well, quite a few things. So it got quiet for a little while. Things got better. The house wasn't as heavy. I wasn't going through all the weird emotions and, dizziness and kind of losing track of time. So that pretty much went away. So they did a cleansing on the house, and that was really cool. I don't know how I feel about that stuff. I'm not knowledgeable about it, so I kind of get a little standoffish when people start talking about that stuff. But I'll learn. I'll learn about it someday.
And everybody we've talked to in our research, like, we're still learning a lot of this stuff too. So far, kind of the consensus is you really shouldn't be doing that unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah, and we've done some investigations, and some of the investigators I watched said, well, it kind of bugs me when these people go into houses and then they just leave and they don't do anything. And it's a very valid point. It's a very valid thing to say, because, we tell people, we're not here to cleanse anything. I can tell you what to do, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can make it worse. And we have done one investigation where we did I haven't dropped that video, but we're working on it. But after we had left that investigation, things did get a little bit worse. And I kind of felt bad after that, because, these are things that you learn as you go along. And I do want to help these people, because I do feel for them when you're going through these things and you just don't understand it. It can be kind of scary,
Well, and confusing and stressful and everything else on top of it. As from personal experience, we understand.
So, the things that I've experienced since then, and this has been just started up probably 2 months ago. I was sitting on my bed. It was like 1:00 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. And I kind of was sitting with my legs crossed, and I couldn't feel the finger grab. Like when somebody grabs your leg, I couldn't feel the pressure of the grab, but something shook my leg. and my hand immediately went plopped on Ryan's chest. I'm like, wake up. So it kind of freaked me out. I'm like, something just shook my leg.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my imagination by no means. It was super weird. And then just gradually the weird feelings are starting to come back again, but it kind of a little bit of a different feeling, and I'm not sure why. Not sure why.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then just things are starting to get misplaced, moved around. I started hearing kind of wrestling in the house, and I kind of thought it was my dogs, but that's not it. I say it's just the dogs so I don't get freaked out. But it almost sounds like somebody moving something in the house, like moving boxes or moving furniture or something like that.
And
just like
moving
that.
your stuff.
Yeah, moving my stuff. My stuff's always being lost. Maybe it's just me and I just need a good excuse of why it's getting lost. Maybe I'm getting dementia. I don't know. But and then you're experiencing
Yeah,
things.
I'm putting some stuff away in the just cleaning up the house. I was putting actually some baby wipes under the sink in the bathroom, in the cabinet where we keep them, and we
Hey,
we
Waffle.
put all that stuff. There's the cat. That's our guardian.
Hey, Waffle. Say hi to everybody.
We store everything in there. So I'm moving some stuff around, and I was carrying the box, and it's not a big box, but it's a box you need two hands to carry. So I'm carrying it. I walked down the hallway and went into the bathroom, and this is the bathroom that's like for the whole house. It's not in the master. And before I walked in there, I had heard some noises that sounded like an aerosol can, almost like the air fresheners. That's what it sounded like, and it was like several times I had heard it, and Judith was asleep, so it's like, well, maybe she got into something because she is notorious for getting into things, as every 2-year-old does. So I'll make my way in there. Walk into the bathroom, the noises stop, but then I noticed the toilet seat start going, or not the toilet seat, but the cover. So the seat's down, the lid's down, and the lid started going up at a slow but steady pace. Before it got completely open, it's like I turned around and walked out. It's like, what did I just see?
This was like 2 days ago.
Just a couple days ago, yeah. All the emotion and everything, it's like, so I put the box down, I turn around and go back in there, and the seat and the lid's back down. And it's not one of those, close quietly lids. Like, it'll slam down, So that was a little freaky. And then I immediately called her on the phone and said, you have no idea what just happened.
But see, he also didn't know that I was hearing all these things either.
No,
I've heard the water in the bathroom sound like it was running, and I just thought maybe it was the neighbor spraying the yard down because there was a window in the bathroom. But yeah, that's not what it was. I don't know what it is. Can't explain it. Yeah, a little freaked out now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they just need to go to the bathroom. But then, twice now, we've seen the wispy things, the white manifestations or whatever you want to label them. Ryan, we're starting to see those with our own eyes, not just on camera now.
Yeah, I've seen it at least twice.
Yeah, and I was like going to bed one night and, it's dark, my TV's kind of on. So, but I thought it was a moth that blew by my face, but there was no moth in the room. It was that big and it was that close to my face. And then there was just nothing. I never saw it again. So things are kind of starting to happen again a little bit, but anyways, I know we didn't probably really talk about a whole lot of important stuff. We wanted to share our reasons why we called Ghost Adventures. It was to confirm stuff. We got that confirmation. They were really great. We had a good time. I can't really say that the experience was bad or anything like that. I think Zach really truly cared about what we were going through due to the sensitivity of the whole story, me losing so many family members, but in such a short amount of time. But a lot of people go through that, and I'm not the only one. So as I can say, it doesn't get better. You just deal with it in different ways. You always miss your loved ones, but Ghost Adventures was good to us. We had a good time.
we learned a lot too, and not in an investigative standpoint, but just from a personal standpoint of how to kind of like deal with some of these things. I really don't even know how to explain
Yeah,
that.
I mean, Billy gave us a lot of good advice, about cleansing and things of that nature, and helped us get through a lot of stuff. And Aaron was super funny. He's exactly the way he is in person on TV. So,
He's a great guy.
but like I said, the crew is great, and we just wanted to share a little bit of that. Hopefully, we shared enough. I mean, that's about it. So I guess that's all we have to say about it. And thanks, Ghost Adventures.
And it's kind of cool that it's kind of forever part of our journey, and it's a good starting point, good reference point, and then a good reminder to us. It was a good experience. Our goal is not to start a TV show. Our goal is not to get clicks
or likes, or it is
our
fun.
goal is just to share our journey with doing investigations and linking it to kind of our personal experiences and our personal spiritual journey.
Yeah, I mean, we have fun doing this, and it is fun to see that people are actually paying attention. Clicks are clicks, likes are likes. We're not monetized. We don't, like I said, we just want to share our story and our journey. And please comment and like and share. I would like to hear other people's
Tell us
stories.
what you think.
Tell us what you want to see. I mean, if there's a topic you want us to touch on, we can, because might be something that we never thought about, and it kind of opens the door to other things. So anyway, you guys have a good weekend. It is Memorial Weekend, so stay safe.
Yes, stay safe.
And we're signing out. See ya.